Hamas official says Trump's latest Gaza remarks absurd. A senior Hamas official has described Donald Trump's latest remarks about Gaza as absurd after the U.S. president said his plan to take over the Palestinian territory would not include a right of return for the more than 2 million Palestinians who live there. Trump's comments reflect a deep ignorance of Palestine and the region, Izzat al-Rishq, a member of Hamas's political bureau, said. In comments released by Hamas, he said Trump's approach toward the Palestinian cause will fail. White House confirms ICC prosecutor Karim Khan to be first to be targeted with sanctions. Karim Khan, the International Criminal Court's ICC chief prosecutor, is the person to be hit with economic and travel sanctions authorized by Donald Trump that target the court over investigations of U.S. citizens or U.S. allies. The White House has confirmed Khan, who is British, was named on Monday in an annex to an executive order signed by Trump last week, Reuters reports. The U.S. president signed an executive order last week authorizing aggressive economic sanctions against the ICC, accusing the body of illegitimate and baseless actions targeting the U.S. and Israel. The order grants Trump broad powers to impose asset freezes and travel bans against ICC staff and their family members if the U.S. determines that they are involved in efforts to investigate or prosecute citizens of the U.S. and certain allies. The sanctions come in response to the court's decision in November to issue arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. Responding to Donald Trump's executive order on Friday, the International Criminal Court, ICC, called on its 125 state parties to stand against the sanctions, describing Washington's move as an attempt to harm its independent and impartial judicial work. Emergency meetings were held on Friday among senior court officials to rapidly assess the implications of Trump's order, which one official said had been written in such a way that it was broad enough to be very disruptive for the court if the U.S. wants it to be. Governments around the world have since rushed to defend the court, which is seen as a vital last resort to prosecute powerful individuals accused of atrocities including war crimes and genocide. 79 countries, including Brazil, Canada, Denmark, Mexico, and Nigeria, released a joint letter last week warning that U.S. sanctions would increase the risk of impunity for the most serious crimes and threaten to erode the international rule of law. Mediators fear a breakdown of the Gaza ceasefire agreement after Hamas accused Israel of not being serious about executing the deal and announced it would stop releasing hostages until further notice, Reuters reports, citing Egyptian security sources. Meanwhile, Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati discussed regional developments with the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, during a meeting in Washington on Monday, according to the Egyptian Foreign Ministry. Former UK Supreme Court judge has described Israel's assault on Gaza as grossly disproportionate and said there was at least an arguable case that it was genocidal. Lord Sumption, who served on the UK's highest court from 2012 to 2018, was one of the highest-profile signatories of a letter last year warning that the UK government was breaching international law by arming Israel. In September, the Labour government suspended some arms export licenses to Israel but made an exception for parts for F-35 jets, a contentious decision that is being challenged in the courts. Explaining his decision to sign the letter, Sumption told The Guardian, "I thought, and I still think, that the conduct of Israel in Gaza is grossly disproportionate, and there's at least an arguable case that it's genocidal. One can't put it higher than that because genocide depends on intent. That's quite a difficult thing to establish, but I read the provisional decision of the International Court of Justice, ICJ, and it seemed to me that they were saying that that was an arguable proposition.